knows this layout. We have some kind of header with navigation, and then we have the body of the page where we find typically some articles on the page, and in some cases some advertising on maybe most likely on the right side and some footer. So before we go deeper into this, I want to drive it both conceptually and give you some concrete examples. So first, let me just quickly review the basic tags in HTML. So HTML is a set of tags, and these tags are standardized, which means people have agreed upon them and all browsers understand them. So we have to learn those tags and then start using them. So any HTML, first it starts with this line. It just declares into the browser, by the way, browser, this is an HTML page. Even if you don't put it, the browsers are smart enough to know that this is HTML page. But to be just more explicit, you can add this tag at the start of the page called doctype. Then the whole page is within the HTML tag. So the root of every HTML page is HTML tag. So tags, always we open this angle brackets, I think. I think angle brackets. We will confirm the name. Anyway, the less than and the greater than, within them we put the tag name. And then in most cases we close it by putting the angle bracket slash and the same tag name. So in the case of HTML, this is how we started, with the HTML tag, and we end it with this HTML tag. And the beauty of using a tool like WebStorm, I hope you already installed it, is that it can help you to do this. So for example, when I let me just delete this line. When I put this and when I just put slash, it knows that the only tag still open is the HTML, so it auto-completes it. Or even if I do something like this here, div, it auto-closes the tag. So an editor like this, compared to a Notepad where you don't have any help, it doesn't really help. Okay. So let me go through some basic tags. So here we have, in the HTML, we have two major parts, the head and the body. In the head, I put some data about the page, not the content of the page itself. So typically, I put the title of the page, and I can also import some CSS or some JavaScript. We will see how to do this later on. And then what the user will see is the body. I put it in the body of the page. Now, you will see that us and as developers, we always want to group different elements of the page under one unit. So it is very often we do this. For example, let's say an address. What are the elements of an address?
Telephone, fax.
No, that's not an address.
Street.
So the street, yes.
House number.
Postcode maybe, and city and the country. Okay? So you can put all these four elements, let's say just three, the street, the city, and the country. We can group those three elements under one unit. How can I put those three elements under one unit? One way to do it is to put them inside a div. So what is a div?
Things that have the same
Related. I can group related elements under one unit using a div. Why is it very important for developers to do this group? Sorry? Yeah, it's a more logical structure, but that's more organized, but that's not very motivating reason. Easy to modify, yeah, sort of. To be more short, because I can use CSS or JavaScript to manipulate all of them as one unit. That's why div is widely used for developers. For example, if I want to hide an address, I don't go and hide the street, then go and hide the city, then go and hide the country. What do? put them all in one div, and then hide the whole div. You see here? Same thing for styling. I want to make the address bold. So I take the whole elements of the address under one unit, which is a div, and what do? Change the style of the font to bold. So that's why for developers, you will find yourself very often grouping elements under one unit. And typically you use a div to do this. Is clear the idea? So in here, I have only one element within this div. And this element is an anchor or a link. So you know those blue links that we clicked maybe millions of them? How do we create such links? Using the A tag, the anchor, it's called the anchor tag. So here the A tag, very simple, it has two attributes. You can see here it has two attributes. By the way, this is called an element. The tag, when you open a tag and close it, this is an element of the page. This is an element. This is another element. Sub-element within that div element. And this, inside the element, I can define what is known as attributes. So an anchor has one major attribute, which is href. What do I put in there?
The link.
The link, where I will jump to when the user clicks the link. But what the user will see is what is between the opening of the tag and closing of the tag. This is what the user will see. By the way, this is not a good way to really understand what's going on. First thing, you always, before you go into the details, just have a look at it, how it looks. Okay? And then start digging into the interface, please. Sorry.
Can I have nested divs?
Yes. Here, look, this is like the ingredients to make a recipe. It's up to you. Your imagination is the limit. You have in your kitchen, you have salt, and you have tawabil, and you have other stuff. It's up to you. It is the requirement, what you're trying to deliver, and it is your imagination. It's your creativity. And of course, the rule here is to try to keep it as simple as possible. Very, very important. Simplicity is the key rule. When somebody looks at your page, whether the visual part of it, keep it simple. And also the coding behind it, keep it as simple as possible. So choose the simple things that works. Don't try to make it complicated. There is elegance in simplicity. Okay. So, here it is. This is the link. You saw that link that you saw before? This is how it looks. The way you can learn this, you can also use the browser. And anything that you don't understand or you are curious, how does it look like in HTML, you just right-click on it and inspect. And it will jump into the code, the HTML tag for that particular text that you have selected. You can always, I think, take this one, click anywhere. I want to see how this list is done. Take this, click this, and it jumps there. Or here. This is how it is done. So that's another nice way of learning about it. Of course, in here you will see also the CSS style sheet. We will see this later on. You can also access the JavaScript. And where is the JavaScript element? No, in the source. Resources. No, not resource, sources. Yeah, I don't have here HTML JavaScript. If I had, I would see here the files, JavaScript file. We will see this later on. But what I mean, this, what do we call it? This is the developer tools. All browsers have them. Of course, the users don't even know they exist. But you as developer will spend a lot of time in here. As we move forward, you will do some debugging in here. You will, if something's not working, you will find out how in this tool. Very important. It's basically Control Alt I think. Anyway, I keep forgetting the shortcut. You can just right-click and say Inspect. Okay. Sorry? Control Shift I. Thank you. Control Shift I. it jumps there. Control-Shift-I, thank you. All right, so here is how the page looks like. Now let's dive a little bit deeper into it. So this one is clear? A link, how to create a link. I have here another div. Inside it is an image. This is how, if I want to display an image in the page, I use the image tag and then the source from where the image will be coming. In here, I'm just taking it from this URL. And optionally, I can put this alternative text. If this image happens not to exist, for some reason, somebody deleted it, or there is a mistake in the URL, this text will be displayed instead of image. So let me just show you. This editor is so powerful, this tool, not the editor, I mean the developer tools. You can change the page on the fly. So let's just to demonstrate that alternative text. Sorry? Yes, I can do here inspect, okay, and I can change this to something.
Oh, you can just delete the .png.
Yeah, or I can, yes, I can do, for example, 2, whatever. See here, the image gone, and what has replaced it is the text I put in this attribute called alt, which is alternative to the image, okay? So this tool is very, very powerful, developer tool. You can change the style, you can change the HTML, you can change this JavaScript. You see, the imagination is the limit. You can do lots of things with this tool. You just go here, double click and start changing. As you change, it changes on the page. Okay? So a very powerful tool. All right, so now you see here what happened is after every dev, let me just refresh. When you refresh, of course, all your changes are gone, it starts fresh again. See here, if you noticed, after every div, the content after the div goes to another line. So divs are very selfish. They don't want anybody besides them. If you put something after it, what happens? It comes to the new line, okay? While span, have a look at this. I right click here and inspect. You see here I have span, 2 spans. Span is very, very similar to div. It's a way of grouping things, but what is the difference?
No new line.
No new line. Okay? What we learn from here, this is very important concept in HTML. Some tags, we call them block tags, and other tags, we call them inline tags. What is the difference? First of all, the div, is it a block tag or inline tag? Block. What does it mean, block tag?
It takes a block.
Yeah, it takes a block on its own. Anything that comes after it
New
will
line.
go to a new line. Okay. While inline tag, like span, if you put something after it, it will come beside it, not in its own new line. It's clear? 2 types of tags. Block tags, they occupy space on by themselves. Anything after them will come after, in its own new line. While the inline, it continues. If you put something, it will continue beside them. They don't push anything you put beside them to the new line. They allow things to come beside them. Now, this is the default behavior. By default, a div is a block tag. And by default, span is inline tag. This is the default. This is the default behavior. You can change it. How can you change the default behavior of HTML element?
CSS?
CSS, thank you. By CSS. You see, the role of CSS is to change the default behavior. Are you following?
Yes.
Okay, now, this is a header 1. You know when you write text, hopefully you don't just keep writing without any kind of format. It will give your readers very, very hard time to understand what you want to convey. So to make it easier for the reader, what do? You organize your text into paragraphs, sections and subsections and headers, and hopefully you give different emphasis and different formatting to your headers. So in the same way, HTML has kind of 6 types of headers. H1, H2, H3, and so on. H1 is the bigger one. So when you put something in H1, have a look at this. I inspect it. This is within this H1. By default, this is the default CSS. I didn't write this CSS, by the way. This is written by the browser. There is some default behavior. But I can change it. I can make all H1s blue and maybe bigger than this. I want them 25 or 26. So there is some default. And then how you change the default? By CSS. Is clear?
Yes.
Okay, H1, is it a block tag or inline tag? Block. How did you know?
Because it's
Yes. Anything comes after it, it goes into separate line. Is this khalas? Revelation cannot change?
No.
Take it or leave it, or you can change this behavior. You can change this behavior. Okay? And you can say, oh, by the way, I don't want H1s to be divided on their own. I allow any other content to come beside them. Is the idea clear?
Yes.
I just want to show you this idea. Hopefully I can do it. Although this is not the best way, but just to show you what I mean by this. I can create a style sheet, a CSS style sheet, and I'll tell the browser, by the way, whenever you see this H1, I know that it has a property called display. And by default, what is the default display property value of H1? Block. I don't want it to be block. I want it to be inline, which means I want to allow other elements to come and stay beside it. So I'll change this instead of block to inline, and let's just try. You see here?
Yes. But Doctor, it's before.
Here it is before because this one is a block. So block means it does not allow anything with beside it, either on the left or on the right. So in here, this is not coming here, not because of H1 is not allowing it, because H2. Yeah. Now if I go here, let me try to change it. Here I'll tell the browser, whenever you see H1 or H2, I want you to make them inline. And if I refresh, you will see here subheader 2. Okay, here I don't want to confuse you too much. We will come to CSS in more details. The main idea I want to convey here is HTML tag has a default behavior. You can change the default behavior using CSS. That's the main idea. Now, the lazy boys will put CSS on the page. This is not very good. Not the best practice.
Like
Okay.
mixing both, you mean it's not a good
Yes,
practice?
not a good practice. You leave HTML by itself,
Yes.
you put CSS in a separate file, and then you link the two. That's the best practice. Okay? So, something like this.
So this one, style, is not, it's HTML.
No. Style is different. So, we separate the structure from the presentation, or from the look and feel. Two different files. Okay? Sorry? No, we didn't get there yet. This is on the view itself, on the page itself. The emphasis is much deeper, where you separate the computation from the presentation from the coordination. So the controller does the coordination, the model does the computation, and basically the business logic, and the view does the presentation. Yeah, we will see this. Okay, you are very curious. No problem. I create a new file, and in here I will say style sheet. Can you see here?
Yes.
It's a new file. I call it style. Okay, and I'll paste this here.
Yes.
This is the best practice, not to put this style on the same page, although you can put a tag in the head, call it style, and put your styles there. That's not the best way. The best way is to put it in a separate file and then bring it in, or import it, or bring it to the page using a link tag. See here the link tag? And then inside the link tag there is href, and it shows, this is the beauty of using a tool. It is helping me. It says, okay, this is the style I want to use, and I will tell here that this is a style sheet. This is just to be nice to the browser, that what I am bringing into the page is a style sheet. This is the best practice. You put CSS separate and you put HTML separate, and then you link both, which means you bring the CSS to the HTML page using the link tag in the head of the page. Is clear? And the advantage of this is so many advantages. Although I don't want to deviate in here, that's another topic. There are lots of motivation why we do this. Okay. Of course, the easy to maintain, that's the easiest way. But the more important one is consistent look and feel. Consistency is very important. If you don't have a consistency in a page, it gives a very, very bad impression about an organization.
You mean in different platforms, they need to be consistent?
No, not in different platforms. That is guaranteed by CSS being a standard.
Yes.
Not being you putting the CSS in separate files.
Okay.
Consistency here means like you are in all the pages of the website, you use the same set of colors, same set of fonts, same set of positioning. Not, for example, you visit the first page, the menu is horizontal.
Yeah.
And then on the next page, it's vertical. And on the next page, also on the right side. The next page, it's in the footer. And then you go to the College of Engineering. First page is, what's that color we're using?
Orange.
Orange, okay. The next page is blue, and the other one is green. What you will do, this is not the right college to enroll in. Okay? So that's why the external relations in QU, they will not allow you to do this. If somebody puts a page, there will be a big trouble. If it has the QU logo, you cannot put anything under QU name without going through their approval. Because it is the image of the organization. Okay. So that's why in a real life, it's not you, the developer, that write the CSS. It's some very, what they call themselves, web designers, that they create the look and feel, and they give you the CSS, and you as developer, you apply it to your pages. That's the idea. So you divide, so there is it's much deeper than this discussion, we will see it. But for now, keep in mind what is the key motivation of putting it outside? Consistency. And of course, the usability, and of course, ease of maintenance and others. But the main driver is this consistency. And also, you have the ability that other more professional designers will do it for you, not you. And when you are doing it, you are not getting into each other's way. They are doing it on their own. When they finish, they just give you the CSS and you embed it. Okay? So if you want to create a web page for College of Engineering, you don't need to start from scratch and start putting your CSS. Just get the CSS that external relations are maintaining, and you apply it to your pages. So all the pages look the same. If you go to the College of Business, it's another color, I think blue or some other color. And all should be consistent. Otherwise, you put yourself into trouble. And this is very serious. You might think, oh, this is, who cares? Very, very, very serious. All organizations you might know, be aware of this, have an image, a public image that they need to maintain. And part of that public image is to have
uniqueness
and consistency in their communities. Okay? So that's why this is very, very important. You never put your CSS in the same page. Always push them out and link them. Okay? So that's the idea.
So Doctor, you said the REL is not necessary, but you just put it there for the better experience.
Yes. Let me tell you one secret, which you should forget. I tell it to you and you forget it. Okay. So the browsers are one of the most tolerant software out there. You throw at them anything, and they will try their best to run it and to make sense of it. Of course, you don't want to take advantage of this and start not doing the right thing. Okay. But even if you don't put this doc type, let's remove the doc type. Okay, and the browser will say, oh, sorry, I cannot help you. I don't know what you're talking about. No problem. The browser will still understand it. But it is still a good practice to put it. Okay? Because you never know. You might have some browser in some, not maybe in the main devices, maybe, I'm not sure. A driver in a car, a browser in a car navigator. That needs that tag, and it's very primitive browser. So you be on the safe side and put the things. So in here, if I don't put this, let's put Chrome into test. By the way, when you're using WebStorm, you don't need to save. Just keep doing the work, it saves automatically. Just go and refresh. Even refresh, you can configure it to auto-refresh, but I'm not configuring it. So I refresh, it didn't recognize it. Yes, no. So I withdraw this. So Chrome insists in having it. So Chrome needs it. Maybe other browsers might tolerate it.
I don't see the difference.
Sorry? No, here. It did not, it puts them in block. H1, H2, still block tags. So here, see here, these are now in line because of CSS. If I refresh, they are block tags, okay? Because I removed this attribute called rel, related to style sheets. So this is how you link the style sheet to your CSS. Sorry, style sheet to your page. Yes, please.
The linked part,
Yeah.
the CSS linked part, always should be in the header?
Yes, in the header. So in the header, you bring in the CSS and the JavaScript that you need. So for example, JavaScript, although I am jumping, but I still want you to get the idea of the header. Here is a script. I am putting some JavaScript in here. So console.log, don't worry too much about this, I will explain it. Welcome. All right. So here, if I go to this console, clear it, and then I refresh, see here the welcome I put in that script. Again, this is not the best practice. We should not put your script in the same page. What you do is, create a JavaScript file and then import it in the page. And we will see this later on. I don't want to deviate from our discussion. So let's go back, and we said that the HTML tags, how many major tags we have? Block and line. Block means they occupy their own kind of space. They don't allow anything before them or after them. Anything after will come up beneath the actual element. While inline, no problem. They tolerate to be beside other elements, and if you put following elements will be on the same line. Okay? But this is a default, it's basically every tag has a default behave that you can change it using CSS, and I showed you an example. Is this clear so far? Okay. Now let's move on. Headers, we already discussed them. Header 1, 2, 3, up to 6.
BR.
Sorry?
What is BR?
BR, a new line. If you just want a new line, you put BR. It gives you a new line. A new empty line is a BR. Not empty line. Basically, you are jumping to the next line. You are going to the next line. Okay. P is a paragraph. The normal paragraph you already know in plain English. You divide your text into paragraphs. Now, in terms of visually, P and div are the same.
Yes.
But when do you use div? When do you use P?
P for text.
Very good. P for text. If you are talking about paragraph, the way we know what paragraph is in real world, use P. When do you use div?
We have the same
Very good.
properties.
When you are grouping elements that are not necessarily a paragraph. For example, if you have multiple inputs, street, street, city, and country, this is not a paragraph. But you can group them using a div.
But
Okay.
also, Victor, for the property, like you said, the JavaScript or the CSS,
Yeah.
we cannot put this in the paragraph.
You can. Look, CSS, let me give you what CSS is in very, very
I mean, in
simple
the
way.
div, you said, Victor, if you want the same exact attributes or to be applied to all elements,
Yep.
so you put them in the div, right?
Same thing, same for P.
paragraph.
So P and div are exactly the same. But you as developer, you choose the right one based on the context, based on what you are using it for. And by the way, the browser does not really care whether you use P or div, it does not care at all. It's up to you. But you have to use the right choice. P when you are talking about paragraph, and div when you are grouping elements, not necessarily paragraph. I can come here and put div, no problem. In fact, it will be exactly the same. Yeah, it is exactly the same here, div. And by the way, the tool helps me change it. In terms of look and feel, here is the paragraph. Where is my paragraph? My first paragraph. Okay, let me refresh. Okay, in terms of look and feel, is exactly the same. There's no difference whatsoever. But for developers, other developers, when you look at your page, they say this is a beginner HTML developer. They don't know what they do. Okay, they just randomly select it. But you need to know what you do. Okay. So basically, here the term is you choose your tags based on the semantics, based on, in a simpler way, this part of the page. ما محلها من الإعراب. What is the role of it? Why I'm using it? Is it a header? Is it a paragraph? Is it just to group things together? Based on this, you choose the right tag. Okay, that's the idea. Now, when you're talking about text, in many times, especially in technical writing, you have some bullet points. They could be either bullet points without order, just bullets, and bullet points with order. In HTML, you can do this very nicely. So, how do I do an ordered list? So you use the tag, use this tag, ordered list, and inside you put a list item. This is item 1, item 2, item 3, and it will be auto-numbered 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. If the order for you is not important, you just want bullets, instead of using OL, which stands for ordered list, you use UL, which is unordered list, and you put the list items. Is clear?
Yes.
Now, what is the default behavior when you use ordered list? 1, 2, 3, 4. What if you want to do this Roman style numbering? Use CSS. If you want A, B, C, D, CSS. Okay, you don't want this, you don't like this bullet that has black filled circle. You want it to be an empty rectangle. What do you do? CSS. You want it to be a little car or a little tick, whatever it might be. You use CSS. So every element has a default behavior and a default look and feel, but you can change it using CSS. Is clear? Okay. Now, this is a new in HTML5, maybe not very useful, not commonly used, which is this, if you have a term and its definition, some keyword and its definition. So what you can do is, you can use this definition list. Maybe let me show you here, it's clearer. This is a definition list. This is the term and its definition. This is the term and its definition. So if you have such thing in your page, you can make use of this tag, definition list, and you provide the definition and its list. Is clear so far? Okay, these are the basic HTML tags. Now, let's have a look at more tags to do the layout. Remember the layout? If I want to do the header, the footer, the side. So here's how we do it. Again, whenever you see an example, go first and run it. This is how it looks like. This is a very, very simple page. This is enough in this course. We are not to make them so look very wow pages. Simple pages, but functional pages. They do some real work. And that's what we want. We are developers, not designers. I already highlighted this. Once it's all working, and if time allows, you can make it wow, but you don't get any extra grade for it. You just practiced and you made yourself tired. Okay, simple working page. And by the way, this is not something, there is elegance and simplicity. Google people, they have a lot of engineers, a lot of designers. They could make this page much, much more sophisticated than this. But it is by choice to make it super simple.
They like minimize even the logo.
Yeah, they keep, the logo is something that they keep working on.
أصلا recently هم يصغروا
Yeah, yes. For them, the basic idea is the minimalistic design. That's the design principle. Minimalist. Don't put a lot of things, especially something navigating and lots of colors and lots of things moving. Those, no way. Yeah. All right. So let's go back to here. So in here, what I have in this page, I have a header. What do I find in the header? Two things: a welcome and a menu. And then this is the body. The body happens to have some links and some paragraphs. This is just very simple page. So what I do is, I can come here and say, this is the header. It has a welcome and it has a navigation. Okay? And in navigation, what do I have? An ordered list. With how many list items? 3. An ordered list, is it a block tag or an inline tag? It's a block tag. Okay? Which means every list, and the list item, is it an inline tag or block tag? Block. Every line, every item goes in its own line. But have a look at this. Have you ever seen a menu with every menu item in its own line with a bullet? So menu is basically something flat, horizontal. And basically what we did here, we are changing the behavior of these line items. From block tag to inline tag. You following?
Yes.
And we're getting rid of the bullet.
Yes.
Sorry, you wanted to say something? Yes. Here is the default behavior. Let me comment out some of the magic that I have here. I can't remember the comments in CSS. Okay, here is the comment in CSS. To comment something in CSS, //. This is, you see here it's grayed out. Okay, and let me go back and refresh. You see how it looks now? It's a block and bullets. So in a menu, this is not how we see menus. By the way, when we start as web designers or web developers, you don't need to dream about your design. You have seen so many designs. You spend more time on the web than with anybody else. So just in the beginning, inspire your design from best practices, from what you see, what you like, and then add your own spices as you move forward. Okay. That's the idea. So here, have you ever seen a menu like this? No, it's usually in one line beside one menu item beside each other. So how do you do that? You use CSS. Let me show you the idea what CSS is. So CSS is something like in Word. See here in Word. This is Word. Now in Word you keep typing things. All right. Now, if you want to change the look and feel, you want to change the style of some text in this document, what do? You select. So you select and then you apply some style of your liking. What do you want to do to this selected text?
Color.
You want to make it red. Just apply red. You want to make it bold, italic, underline, make the font bigger. This is how we apply the style. How do we apply the style?
We select.
We select what we want to apply the style to, and then we start changing the properties. What properties did we change here?
Size.
The color, the size, is it either italic or normal, and so on. That's exactly the same idea of CSS. CSS, you select something, and then you change some of its properties. So now let me show you here. There are many ways, but this is the basic one. In here, I'm saying, whenever you see a navigation, make sure there is some margin after it. I don't want to beat the text hitting the navigation. I want some space between my menu and the rest of the page. So this is how I do it. Whenever I'm telling the browser, this is an instruction to the browser. Whenever you see a nav, what should you do to it? Keep some space between the nav and the rest of the page. In here, what I'm asking the browser to do?
Unordered list.
Whenever you see an unordered list, not on its own, but within a nav. If you find an unordered list as a child of a nav, what do I want you to do? Go and remove that bullet. I don't want the bullet. So I say here, list style type, none. And I want you to make it bigger, 14 points. And then I asked you, whenever you see a line item within an unordered list, as a child of a nav, what do I want you to do? Make it in line so it displays in one line, horizontally.
So, Doctor, you mean the nav? I'm referencing it with the nav?
No. In here, I am referencing by tag name.
Yes.
So whenever you see a line item within an unordered list, within a nav, do this.
Okay, always it's within the nav.
Sorry? For the whole page. Yes. Let me show you. If I take, let's take. Sorry, here it is. Let's come here, okay, and do an unordered list. And do here a list item. Okay, here is 2. All right. So if I refresh, you see here, this style did not apply to this. Why?
It's not in the nav.
It's not in the nav. You see here, you selectively apply. I'm just giving you the overall idea just to be a little bit ready for the lab. Otherwise, we will go through this in more details. Okay, now this is the idea of a layout. You use these tags to define the layout. And you control how the layout will look like using style sheets, CSS. Now, what else you can do with HTML? You can create tables. Very simple. You will go through this in more details. Now, the way you create tables, there is a table tag. You open the table tag, you close the table tag. You see it?
Yes.
Okay. And then a table is made up of rows and columns. So you use the TR, table row for row, and table data for cells or for columns. So here, how many rows I have? 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and each. So basically, I have 3 lines and 2 columns. Okay, so this is how table looks like. And you will see this in more details and practice it in the lab, and hopefully next time I'll also show you. Sorry, just give me 1 minute. Just one more capability, so if you go through this example, at least you know how to navigate it. One last thing I want to show you is the forms. This is the most important skill to develop as a web developer, not as a web designer. Web designers tell us almost the content of the page. You, as web developer, you have to collect some input. And to collect input, you basically use forms. Okay? And forms, you use input tags to collect input from the user. So in the lab, you will basically, Mr. Ziad will go through this, explain to you more the forms. You will play with them with some simple examples, and then you will have some lab assignment to explore this in which people. Okay? We are kind of a little bit behind compared to the lab. We always want to be ahead, but as we in the beginning of the course. The lab will be complementing until we kind of catch up. And this is, by the way, only the 20% in this team. Remember, this is only 20%. So don't tell me that it's overwhelming, but it's still the basic. Okay, thank you, and I will see you next time.